Dear friends, today we have a special episode of Super Tony's Adventures. Enjoy! Hello everyone! Ew! Tony, have you no shame? Although farting is normal. It even has a fancy scientific name, flatulence. But why our farts are sometimes odorless and sometimes stink of death? Why is it that sometimes we silently break wind and other times the sound of a fart makes the windows rattle? Want to get to the bottom of this? Then let's go! The average person farts up to 10 times a day, and even your favorite celebrity or sex symbol produces half a liter of stinky farts per day. Farts travel at up to 7 miles an hour, and we have the answer to the question in your head. Yes, farts are flammable, all because of their chemical composition. Our intestinal gases are 59% nitrogen, 21% hydrogen, 9% carbon dioxide, 7 methane, 3 oxygen, and 1% hydrogen sulfide, ammonia, and other stinky compounds. So where does the air in our intestines come from? It's very simple. We ingest it. When we eat or talk, air constantly enters the digestive system. Some of it comes out in the form of burps, while the rest goes on a long journey through the intestines. Once in the colon, this air mixes with the gases released by the bacteria inside us. And believe me, there are a lot of beneficial bacteria in there that helps us digest our food, but they release bad-smelling gases too. Moreover, there is a certain category of foods that contain carbohydrates that are difficult to digest. For example, cabbage or beans. These are the kinds of foods that bacteria really like. They feed on them like a hungry lion on an antelope, making it easier for our bodies to digest them. But the more active our bacteria work, the more unpleasant smells they produce. Something similar happens when we eat too much or too quickly. Badly chewed chunks of food are also difficult to process, and more air enters the digestive tract than usual. Those who drink carbonated drinks also run the risk of becoming an outcast because of the constant gas attacks. Another cause of flatulence is intolerance to a particular substance. The most common example is lactose intolerance. Lactose is found in all dairy products. 6,000 years ago, this wasn't a problem because we only consumed milk as babies, and only babies produce lactase, an enzyme that breaks down lactose into simpler carbohydrates. If it doesn't break down, the lactose directly falls into the clutches of our bacteria, which feed on it, releasing a huge amount of stinky gases. Even now, in some nations, most of the population cannot consume dairy products. Basically, these are countries where such products have not become popular and they are not particularly consumed. For example, 85% of the population of China is lactose intolerant. Now, let's get back to our farts. Have you ever noticed that when a loud fart bursts out of your bowels, making you proud of yourself, there is usually no unpleasant smell? But silent farts make you cover your nose and flee to another country just to avoid being killed by that awful stench. It's all about the fart formation process. If you accidentally swallow a rather large air bubble, it passes very quickly through the entire digestive system, does not have time to absorb unpleasant gases, and flies out with a loud pop. Meanwhile, the air that flows slowly through the intestines absorbs gases from bacteria, then leaving your body slowly and silently, at the same time forcing everyone around you to look for that smelly fog machine. Although flatulence itself is perfectly normal, it can create many embarrassing situations. But if you eat healthy, you can easily avoid it. If you don't create the right conditions for smelly bacteria in your digestive system, then you can easily avoid being flatulent. Well, and taking care of your digestive health is always good. To finish, here is a list of foods that cause excessive gas. These are all legumes, corn, milk, garlic, beer, potatoes, onions, bread, cabbage, and eggs. So you can eat all that at the same time while camping to mess with a friend that is sleeping in the same tent as you. We all watch TV and all kinds of videos on the internet. Often there are news about assaults, but we usually think that this doesn't concern us, or that this will never happen to us. But unfortunately, no one is safe from being attacked by criminals. Tony and I are sure that it is better to be prepared for any eventuality. So today, we have 12 useful tips that can save your life. First, learn how to make a proper fist. Don't stick your thumb out and don't leave it under the other 4, because it can break like this. Look at Tony. This is right and this is wrong. Hopefully you won't have to use your fists, but everyone should be able to make one. Remember the weak points on the human body and use the surprise effect. If there is no other option but to strike, you should do it as unexpectedly as possible. If you take a long time to aim, the opponent will figure out what you are going to do and will get even angrier. So, here are the locations of the weakest point on the body. Memorize them like the alphabet or the multiplication table. Use the means at hand. Any object that can help you will come in handy. For example, a bag or briefcase can be used as a shield from a knife attack, and a scarf thrown in the face can give you a few seconds. Umbrellas, bags, and even loose change in your pocket can help. Keys are also a good tool, just don't waste time making a knuckle duster out of them. By the way, a good idea would be to carry some means of self-defense such as a pepper spray, but there is no point in keeping it in your bag. More often, you will be attacked unexpectedly, so you will have to draw the means of protection as quickly as possible. Keep it in a pocket. This way you can quickly use it and run away. And by the way, pepper spray can be dangerous for you too, so keep it only with the permission of your parents and after they explain to you how to use it. If you are grabbed by the hand, you can escape by using the rule of thumb. Rotate your wrist toward the attacker's thumb and then break free. But remember that the pull should be as sudden as possible. If the attacker understands your plan, he will squeeze your hand with all his strength. If that happens, use a kick to the weak points we already know. Now about elevators. Everyone knows that you shouldn't enter an elevator with strangers, and if someone who you don't trust enters when you're already there, it's best to get out. Also get in the habit of standing with your back to where the buttons are. You'll have to press the button of the floor your neighbor is going to, but they won't have the chance to stop the elevator between floors. There is another effective method. Pretend to be talking to someone on the phone. You could say something like, "Yes, I'm already in the elevator, I'll be there in a couple of minutes," and keep talking. If you're not imaginative enough, just keep saying yes, and don't put the phone away until you get off the elevator and get home. The same rule about the phone works with taxis, but during a long trip, it will be quite difficult to pretend to talk all the time. So just call someone and tell them that you are in the car, at what time you will arrive, and also, in a loud voice so that the driver can hear you, tell your interlocutor the brand, color, and preferably license plate of your taxi. Finally, a few more rules that will be useful to you. Be alert. You may not notice your attacker because you are listening to music in your headphones, looking at your phone screen, or simply looking at your feet instead of your surroundings. Look around and look back from time to time. If they can't attack you by surprise, the attacker may change their mind. Keep your distance. Try to do everything you can to avoid being pinned against the wall. Even if your opponent moves toward you, go sideways instead of backward, thus changing your overall trajectory. Keep your palms in front of you, at shoulder level and with your elbows slightly bent. This is not only a defensive stance, but also a conciliatory one. This way, you're saying, calm down, let's solve this peacefully. But at the same time, you're ready to fight back at any moment. However, your main goal is to run away. Even if you have learned and practiced different techniques, that doesn't mean that you are cool like Bruce Lee. There's no need to try your strength against someone who's stronger than you. So, there are 3 things you need to do: break free, confuse your attacker, and run. Also, if the criminal wants to rob you and asks for your phone, money, or jewelry, you should not fight them. Instead, just give them what they want. You can buy many things, but your life is priceless and you may not get it back. I think you all know about the most famous catastrophe in the history of our planet. Yes, Tony, I'm talking about the huge asteroid that hit the Earth and wiped out the giant dinosaurs that reigned at the time. But what if it had missed our planet? Would we be living side by side with dinosaurs now? Would our homes be inhabited not by cats and dogs, but by cute, little domesticated dinosaurs? Would shepherds herd not cows but giant triceratops? Would the mounted police be called Dino Police? Or maybe humans would have not appeared if dinosaurs were still on Earth? Or would there have been a completely different race of intelligent dinos with arms and legs like ours? We're gonna get to the bottom of this. Let's go. So, dinosaurs lived on our planet for about 160 million years. In the process, they evolved and changed. Predators hunted herbivores, and herbivores ate ferns, the most common plant on the planet at that time. But then, 65 million years ago, the first flowering plants began to appear. Scientists believe that by the Eocene period, 55 million years ago, they would have taken over almost all ecological niches, displacing Jurassic ferns and changing the diet of all giant herbivores. However, flowering plants are digested much faster than ferns and contain more nutrients. This would have accelerated the growth of dinosaurs, but would have reduced their size, so giant dinos would have been replaced by smaller versions. And what about humans? Would we have become a race of intelligent reptiles? Most scientists agree that this is very unlikely, because dinosaur brains are too weak. And it's not because of their size. It turns out that humans became intelligent thanks to the large number of neural connections in the mammalian brain. As you see, size doesn't matter. What you need to be more intelligent is a fast brain. As with modern technology, right? Devices get smaller and smarter at the same time. So does that mean that intelligent humans wouldn't have appeared? And neither would Tony? Not exactly. The first mammals appeared over 200 million years ago and lived in the dinosaur world for a very long time. But there were only a few of them back then, and they were small rodents a little bigger than a modern cat. In a dangerous world full of giant dinosaurs, these mammals had to survive somehow, so they led a nocturnal lifestyle and hid in trees or underground, and they fed on plants and insects. But 65 million years ago, the power balance shifted. Most huge and predatory dinosaurs became extinct, and mammals took control. They began to emerge from their hiding places and evolve, giving origin to almost all animals that now live on our planet. So, if dinosaurs had remained, mammals would have stayed in the shadows. However, the boldest paleontologists believe that they would have continued to change and evolve, giving rise to many species of rodents, bats, and even small primates. And these primates could have become the first humans. Only they would have to fight dinosaurs instead of saber-toothed cats. Nevertheless, the world would not be a bloody mess like in the movie Jurassic Park. Of course, dinosaurs are predators, but they are lazy and like to chill in the sun after a hearty lunch. We would have learned to avoid them just as we learned to deal with saber-toothed tigers, wolves, and bears. But all of this would have happened much later than it actually did. In the dinosaur world, it would have taken much longer for mammals to evolve from a rodent to an ape, and from an ape to a human. After all, it would have not been so easy to get down from a tree and go plant yams in a field with T-Rexes and other big, toothy lizards wandering around somewhere. So in an alternate universe, where a giant asteroid didn't hit Earth 65 million years ago, humans most likely already exist, but are still at the very beginning of their evolution. They probably hide in caves from dangerous T-Rexes and hunt Diplodocus, which are probably a little larger than a modern elephant. And in another few million years, some species of dinosaurs may well have been domesticated. Some could be used as livestock and some as loyal friends and companions. A few thousand years later, the internet and YouTube would have appeared, and an alternate supertony would tell his alternate viewers about what would happen if a giant asteroid did hit the Earth and wiped out all the dinosaurs. And he would end the video with some touching phrase about how we need to protect all creatures great and small, and that velociraptors are man's best friend. We have an emergency situation here. Tony has a sudden craving for watermelon juice, and now he's running around all the stores looking for it. Now Tony, come on, stop. You won't find watermelon juice in any store because it doesn't exist. Well, of course, there are watermelon-flavored drinks, but you can't find real 100% juice anywhere. Ugh, why are you so anxious today? There's a very good reason for that. I'll tell you. Let's go. So, watermelon pulp is 90% water. You'd think with that much liquid, the shelves would be bursting with juice boxes. Besides, its pulp is rich in vitamins B1, B2, C, and folic acid. It's like a vitamin cocktail. But it's not all that simple. Nowadays, companies often use dyes and preservatives when making juices to make the product in your glass look pretty and taste good. They tried to deliver watermelon to customers in a more or less natural form, yes, but it turned out not to be economically viable. The fact is that natural watermelon juice must be consumed within 4 hours of its extraction, which is almost impossible. After just 4 hours, watermelon juice loses its flavor and it tastes like water. Now imagine you make a batch of top-notch watermelon juice, bottle it up, and distribute it to retail outlets. And then the customer buys your product and drinks what tastes like water with a slight, very distant flavor of watermelon. They'll be furious at your company and they'll think that they have been scammed. And you will be sued for fraud and for being a very bad person, because you sell water as watermelon juice. On top of that, without a huge amount of preservatives, watermelon juice goes sour quickly. That's why you won't find this kind of juice in stores. Most often, it's combined with melon or grape juice. These experiments allow manufacturers to bring the taste of watermelon to you. And then, as a rule, they also add some artificial watermelon flavor. In this form, it can sit on the store shelf for months and not lose its flavor. Whoa, Tony, did you find some watermelon juice? No way! Come on, let me see what you have found there. Well, the name tells you everything right away. Watermelon flavored drinks. That's not juice. What's in it? 62% water. Oh, watermelon juice, but only 30%. Sugar, citric acid, a natural watermelon flavoring, ascorbic acid, something weird called sucralose, and dyes. Basically, there's not much watermelon in this juice. Plus, there are all kinds of chemicals added to keep the drink from going bad. It's no healthier than an energy drink. That's why it's better to consume this fruit in its natural form. That is, buy a watermelon, wash it, slice it, and eat it. Or you can make fresh watermelon juice at home and drink it at once. This way it preserves all its nutritional properties. This drink helps to cleanse your body, removes toxins and impurities, provides highly digestible sugar, and even energizes you. In addition, watermelon juice has a positive effect on the urinary system, gets rid of salts and uric acid, and has anti-inflammatory and healing properties. And it also removes excess water from the body, reduces swelling, and improves the metabolism. By the way, there is another interesting product made from watermelon. It's called Nardec, and it's like watermelon honey. It is mostly made in Tajikistan by evaporating all the water from the watermelon juice until it has a honey-like texture. Tony and I have not tried it, but people say that Nardec is very tasty, sweet, and most importantly, healthy. If consumed in reasonable quantities, of course. By the way, despite all the useful properties of watermelon, we also do not recommend eating too much of it. It has one bad quality: it accumulates nitrates. That is why, if the watermelon is grown with too much fertilizer, it can even be harmful. Nitrates, once in our stomachs, turn into nitrites. Once they get into the blood, they affect hemoglobin in such a way that it becomes incapable of carrying oxygen. And the lack of oxygen in the organs and tissues can provoke a variety of chronic diseases. In addition, the intake of nitrate-rich watermelon can cause nausea, vomiting, stomach pain, and even diarrhea. Oh, come on, Tony. I didn't mean you have to stop eating watermelons altogether. Just don't eat them until you're blue in the face. Or red. Feeling relieved, Tony? Good. Friends, today we have a rather delicate but very important topic. We're gonna talk about toilet culture. We all use the restroom several times a day, but we do some things wrong there, and this can lead to a variety of diseases and infections. So, let's see what mistakes we make every day in the toilet. Let's go! First of all, most of us sit on the toilet the wrong way. The fact is that your legs are at a 90-degree angle. The natural bowel position is disturbed, which in turn makes it difficult to defecate. Okay, that was a little too complicated, wasn't it? Basically, poo doesn't come out as easily if you sit like that. You have to make more effort because of this, which can lead to constipation, hemorrhoids, and other problems. The proper angle is 35 degrees. This is the position in which we sit as children and when we go to the toilet in nature, like our distant ancestors who did not have any toilets. To help the body, you can put a small chair or a box under your feet. Also, on no account should you sit in the toilet for too long. We understand that it can't be a safe and comfortable space. You can read a book or a magazine, or play on your smartphone, and no one will bother you. However, spending a long time in this position puts pressure on the lower veins of the rectum. Over time, this can lead to hemorrhoids and very unpleasant sensations, like pain and bleeding. So come on, Tony, get up already. Oops, you made yet another mistake. You shouldn't flush the toilet with the lid open. There is something known as toilet plume. It consists of small and invisible particles of waste and toilet water. They can travel up to 4 meters when you flush, and they contain not only dirty water and fecal particles, but also very harmful bacteria. What's more, scientists conducted an experiment and flushed the toilet in a so-called combined toilet, where the toilet, bathtub, and sink are in the same room. Above the sink, they had toothbrushes in a glass. After only a few days of the experiment, they found fecal particles and lots of bacteria on the surface of the brushes, and we used them to brush our teeth. Ew! That's why you should always close the toilet lid before you flush. Better yet, put your toothbrushes in a cupboard or special cases. Tony, get up! Come on, stop hugging that pillow. It's time to conduct an experiment. Today, we're going to find out what happens if we replace all the water in your diet with energy drinks. Yes, Tony, I'm very interested to know what happens too. So come on, start drinking. You? Yes, you. Who else? After all, you are a great experimenter. Or are you afraid? Let's begin and show our subscribers what changes your body goes through. Here comes the first can. Tony clearly feels a surge of energy. His blood pressure has slightly increased and his heartbeat has become more frequent. But so far it is within the norm. Nevertheless, Tony is ready to do great things and even shoot several videos at once. All this is because of the large amount of caffeine in energy drinks. This can contains about 240 milligrams of caffeine, while a cup of strong black coffee contains from 90 to 160. In addition, energy drinks contain a special caffeine that is derived from the seeds of the fruit of the guarana plant. This is what it looks like, by the way. Ooh, scary. It's like it's staring right into my soul. This plant contains a lot more caffeine than coffee or tea, but it also causes much more undesirable side effects. Excessive guarana consumption can cause hypertonia,
tachycardia, hypertension, arrhythmia, gastric ulcer, seizures, epilepsy, kidney disease, insomnia, anxiety disorder, nervous system disorders, and allergies.
Phew, that was a long list. Let's go check on Tony. Look, it's only been a couple of hours, but he looks very tired. That's the main problem with energy drinks. Their effect is quite strong, but short-term. And when the effects wear off, the body feels much more tired than it did before you drank anything. It's like driving a car at top speed for a long time. It's so cool and fast, but all the parts and mechanisms wear out much faster. Not to mention the fact that you burn more gasoline when you drive like that. The same happens with the body. After a boost of energy and an increase in activity, its resources are depleted. So Tony, I would advise you to have some water and rest, but this is an experiment. So here's the next can. You can see our friend looks peppy again. He's ready to keep working hard for our channel. But we know what will happen when the effect wears off again. And the more energy drinks you consume, the worse it will feel when the effect is over. So you'll have to drink yet another can of energy drink. And again, and again, and again, which is bound to lead to addiction. What do you think? Drug, nicotine, and alcohol addictions are not the only ones. Caffeine addiction is also very common around the world. Let's fast forward a week. Yeah, Tony doesn't look good. It's all because of the large amount of sugar in energy drinks. That's why his skin is covered with pimples and his breath smells like a mixture of poo and skunk secretions. Ew, Tony, don't open your mouth and turn away from the screen. In addition, too much sugar inevitably results in weight gain. In other words, you're gonna get really fat, Tony. And look what happens. There is more and more fat in the body, but Tony keeps drinking energy drinks. Under the influence of caffeine, his heart, which is already covered in fat, tries to work at full capacity. But it is very hard, so under such strong loads, it can just not be able to bear it anymore. Say goodbye to its owner and stop working. Forever. By the way, death from excessive consumption of energy drinks can occur not only in a year or two, but also in a month. It depends on each person. So friends, remember that everything in our life should be in moderation. But in the case of energy drinks, it's better to give them up altogether. If you really need a boost of energy, drink water, do a workout, or just take a walk in the park. Oh my god, I almost forgot. Tony, stop! Stop the experiment. We don't want to lose you. Drink some water and let's go to the hospital. I think the doctors can get you back on your feet. They'll help you, give you some injections and maybe some vitamins. You'll be fine, most likely. Friends, tell us in the comments how often you drink energy drinks. And if you have a funny story related to them, share it with us below. The best ones will be featured in our next video. And of course, like and subscribe if you had fun. Bye-bye!